Welcome everybody. Great to have you. So this is our weekly STS seminar or webinar. And what we're going to do today, I'm excited about this one because we had some interesting responses to last week's webinar where we started to bring in different perspectives. Like this is a part of STS, it's been for a long time now. It's like the ability to bring in different perspectives within different AI colleagues. Now, it's a collaborative board, so all of us are going to be working on the same board here in a minute. So it's already collaborative. You already have a lot of perspectives. That's true in life if you work with anybody other than yourself, or maybe you even have it with yourself. But that aside, with STS, what we do is we give you the ability to bring in different personalities or personas as we've basically focused or trained the different colleagues to like take on a different personas. So if you've had the experience of, say, you're in ChatGPT and you say act as a professional marketing expert, or you have 20 years of building experience or something like this, it gives you results as if they were that. But we've spent a lot of time, we've actually done a lot of work on this side. We find that we get a little bit better, actually a lot better results when we do it on kind of in the back end. So it's kind of a filter in between the LLMs and the prompt itself that you're using. So a lot of the work that we do is really about focusing on the context, the right context that you bring to your work and to the AI and to your team. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me go ahead and share today's board here in the chat. What you'll find there, and I'll share my screen here too. And we'll just talk about our agenda, what we're going to cover here in the middle of this board. What we're looking at is a board. This frame here is the next level down. And then on these lists, we have the webinar description. This is what may have attracted you to today's call. So these are the details. And the reason why this is important is that we can actually talk to the webinar description. I could actually have the AI look at the agenda and say, hey, am I on track or not? Help me keep on track, especially with the agenda. This is a good way to keep on track with your meetings. So I learned a few years ago, a great kind of way to think about meetings and way to reduce them is that if you don't have an agenda, you don't have a meeting. So the point with that is that you need to have an agenda every time you have a meeting in order to keep people focused on what it is that they should be talking about. They'll know beforehand. You can drop things in to say a board like this, what it is you want to talk about. And then when you're actually in the meeting, we're going to stick to it. And then we can actually start to move from left to right. We're going to go into questions. So anytime something comes up, I talk about myself or Priya or anybody else on the call, and you say, wait, I don't understand, or I want to go deeper into this. This is really the point of these webinars. So hopefully you have a lot of questions coming in while we're going through it. So just drop them here, just hit return, and it will be a question that we'll answer here. Also notes, we had a great collection of notes from last week. So if you're using a transcription service, or if you just are good at taking notes, take some notes here and just drop them in so everybody can have access to them as we get going. And then on the right here, you have access to the AI colleague. Right now, we just have one in this particular board, but you can click on it and configure. You can point to, say, the agenda or the context or whatever it is you want to have a conversation around. This is the context you bring into the AI. So this is the way you do it. Every time we add a new list, a new item will show up here, and you just click on it. And then also, too, we added this great feature just 3 months ago, where you can bring other context from other boards. And I want to talk about this just for a second. All of you guys are going to do some work on what decision that you need like help with, or that you need to bring like C-suite level expertise in on. Once you do that, you're going to give it some business context, talk about the problem that you're trying to solve, and you're going to work on it a little bit. And you're probably going to end up with something that's going to be quite useful for your decisions like down the road. And so after that, you will have the board, which you then can like point to. So it will be in a folder of yours, and you can find it, and you can say, all right, this is the one that I want to bring context in from for future decisions. Okay, so you have business context that we're going to add to a board. It's good, like have vision, mission, or what your company does, and then you don't need to repeat that every time you get into a new board. You can just point to it, and then it will be part of your knowledge base for the company. And then you can just hit confirm once you're ready to do that. So it's a great feature that allows you to point to the context that you need in order to make the decisions that you need or do the deep work. So So this is part of my welcome. So let me just pass the mic over here to Priya. I'm Ben Clayton. I'm in Montreal. I'm the Chief Engagement Officer with STS, and I'm here to help ensure that you know how to use the tool, get the most use out of it. So always reach out to me if you have any questions about utilizing it to its potential. And Priya, do you mind just doing a quick intro?
Yep. So I'm Priya, CRO from with Strategic Thinking Systems. I have a background in psychology, industrial organizational psychology, and obviously focused on the sales side, but will also support anyone who needs to build a board, understand how to use STS to the extent that the schedule allows. But I'm here to support you as much as Ben is. And with respect to a little, do you want me to get into the background of STS, Ben?
Sure. Yeah. Why don't you take it
Okay.
away?
I think we have some sort of familiar faces and a few new faces. So if you are not familiar, what we're trying to do with STS is create a collaborative platform that will allow your team to work in a similar space so that you can generate ideas, work through problems, and do those hard strategic and planning elements at the front end of your business. And so how we're developing this is through multiple personas. So some people you don't have a team, but you still need to think through problems that are complex. And so this is what we're going to talk about today. That's really about how can you look at a problem from multiple perspectives. So this is where we're going to bring in the C-suite so that you can consider these challenges from different points of view. But you can also imagine that you have your full team working in a collaborative space. You need to search the web. You need to save some ideas. So one of the reasons I joined STS originally was I remember doing my dissertation and I had stacks of papers all over the place. And my entire apartment was covered. And I thought about this tool and thought, wow, if I could have had this tool before where I could link an article, take my notes, then just use an AI to search through that information to tell me where my notes are, what my main ideas were, and how if I could have been able to pull from that versus filtering through piles of papers in my room. That was one of the first things that really called me into STS. And now, over time, as we've been working and hearing your feedback, it's really about this space where we can collaborate on really difficult challenges and get multiple points of view. So there's also that element of incorporating, like creating sort of a safe environment for people to share ideas. And if you have people when you're in a meeting and people are talking a lot and sometimes you have ideas, you just need to throw them out there before you lose it, but you don't want to interrupt the conversation. So STS enables all of those things with AI. So, yep, thoughts or questions about that? I don't know if they're on the board here, Ben. I'm not looking at it.
Not yet.
Okay. So is there anything else in the agenda? Because otherwise I can jump into the boards and explain what we're going to do today.
Yeah, you could do that. We want to save a lot of time for your like particular use case. Like so it and really how you're using STS. So if you want to kind of bring that into the conversation, Priya, I'm happy to lead that. Just basically how people are using STS today, and if you have any questions.
We can start with that.
Okay, cool. So I'll start with that then.
Yeah, and then I'll do the demo after that.
All right, that sounds good. So you guys, I think pretty much everybody has access now. Jennifer, if you need to create an account, I'll make sure you have a link in the main chat. It's actually the last one there in the chat. And there's not a general password to answer your question. You just need to create an account. Okay, so how many people are actually currently using STS or have at least used it once or twice so far?
Paul, just Paul.
Paul,
Okay.
Nick, yeah. I know Alex for sure, and Dale. Scott, yeah. Good. Okay, cool. Thanks. Maybe Scott, do you mind talking a little bit about like what you've gone to it to use or how you've used it in the past and what worked, or do you have any questions about, what can make it better?
Um, yeah, so where I was using it mainly, I was going through a series of working sessions with a consulting client, and so I used a variety of different team members to bounce ideas off of, and provide a few different perspectives from a marketing standpoint, from a strategy standpoint, and so I used the different team members or the squads to be able to build that together and then build a consolidated meeting planning session for a couple working sessions that I was leading and running with an in-person event.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was cool.
And so, like, you even use the squad feature within STS too, which is like your own personalized colleague.
What I was trying to do was I was trying to frame out the project requirements, how I was specifically organizing it. I built together, uh, trying to take a larger scope of work that I had written up previously and put into Word and submitted in the initial proposal, and
Right.
trying to break that down into a variety of different of tasks, and then take each of those individual tasks and then break that out into the in-person working session. So, um, yeah, I used a few different iterations on sort of the planning frameworks, task lists that then I used. So I'm not sure if I used the proper term.
I think you meant that you probably used sort of linked agents in a project planning type framework. Does that
Yeah,
sound right? Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So we're going to show you a little bit of what that can look like. So, are there any other sort of use cases anyone wants to share, or should I sort of jump into what we're going to do today? Because we're on topic.
Um, yeah, I'll just briefly mention my own use case because STS kind of helps me on a different angle with this is with a lot of my projects that I'm working on, I would use ChatGPT normally and the projects folder in order to drag a whole bunch of files in there. And then I would actually bootstrap. So my first prompt and my first chat would always be, here's what I want to do. And I would ask, so I like to keep my chat separate, just like how STS is, when you're asking the AI a question, you're going to add specific context. That's exactly what I do, but I'm very selective. I don't want things from other chats to leak in, so I turn off memory, and then I'm trying to organize things in either in a linear or a parallel workflow to have a separate chat handle all that. And STS makes it a lot easier to accomplish this out of the gate. Plus, on top of that, you can add a persona to specific chats a lot more easily, and even have that persona, change partway through the chat if you wanted. So there's a lot of flexibility that I see with this tool for being able to, where you could be using the projects folder, unless you want the tedium of a lot of the other stuff that I've seen that these features are really helpful for that kind of workflow.
Awesome. And I'm just curious, so when you I hear you talking about projects, is there sort of like a specific type of project? Like, is it planning that you emphasize, or are you trying to solve a particular type of a problem, or where do you find it?
Yeah. A lot of it's business development right now. So, for example, I might read a news article on the CBC and I'm going, that looks like a good, potential for a client. And then what I might do then is I might throw the entire news article as a PDF into the project. I might throw the LinkedIn profiles of everyone involved into the project. And then I might throw a quick, write up that I personally made of what are my objectives? What is my company? What am I doing? And I'm going to throw all that info in there. And then I'm going to go, now give me, I'm going to say, I've got 2 hours of free time. How am I going to spend that 2 hours in order to, uh, you know, to make an excellent first impression here and ultimately score a new client? And I think that my hours could go a lot further with some of the efficiency, improved because a lot of that's a manual process. And part of that's on purpose because ChatGPT, if it hallucinates halfway through your process, then the remaining 50% is built on garbage. So being able to leverage some of these tools here is really powerful for that.
Awesome, thank you. Does anyone else want to share a use case, or should I get everyone sort of collaboratively working after I explain what we're going to do? Think, Ben? Are you
No,
going to say?
it's good. And if any of those questions, like with Scott and Sean, they're very specific, detailed, deep work of what they've done and built in STS already. So if that brings up some questions or you'd like to see that how that's done yourself, let's roll Priya, and then we can maybe answer some of those questions as they come up.
Okay, so I felt a little bit, we'll call it, um, I want to shake things up a little bit. So you'll see tariffs. Uh, So what I wanted to do with everybody, I wanted to sort of explain how we can work with STS to get those different perspectives, and everyone's been talking about that today. So perfectly, it's like we planned this or something. So what we're going to do today is you can put your own personal context in STS. So I know sometimes when we're working collaboratively, we don't want to share everything. So what we're going to do today is allow you to do this privately. And I'll explain how to do that shortly, but I'm going to walk you through a sort of an example of what I've done here. So I've created some mock company context here. This is company Northern Tech Manufacturing. It's in Mississauga. It's a mid-sized Canadian company that produces custom electronic components for automotive renewable energy sectors. You can see how this might be affected by tariffs. So we've got a little bit of information. It's associated with some US automakers and some wind and solar energy. And they've recently received a lucrative contract. So I won't go into all of this, but we've got some production issues, supply chain, workforce shortage, et cetera. And they have to make some decisions about recruitment, supply chain disruptions, investment in automation and green tech, and then develop some communication plans with stakeholders. So we've got that level of context, and we set up another template where you can put your own personal information in these frames, or you could be very creative and add your own content. So we'll get to that shortly. So what I've done here is we've given you a template, and these ones are currently set up as finance, HR, legal, operations, and tech. In the template, you can choose whatever persona you want. What I did for this example is I have the same prompt right across the board. So as of today, how should we prepare for tariffs from your perspective? And I have that exact same prompt that I've asked all of our different personas. Okay? And then the other thing that I've done is I've made sure that I have the company context selected. So if we go to the left, this list has a title called Company Context. When I scroll here, we can identify our AI personas, agents by these blue boxes with blue lettering. So when you click on that, it'll open up, and then you'll see these check boxes. These are associated with the titles of the list. So for you, when you are doing this, select company context. Just click the box, it's selected. And then what you can do is choose a persona to help answer your questions. And so here, first one, I've selected the finance officer. And all you do is scroll above it, click on it, and then here, make sure you hit save. So I've hit save. We have the finance officer, and I pre-ran these prompts, but this one is how should we prepare from a finance perspective? So it's talking about financial impact analysis, cost containment and efficiency, supply chain diversification, pricing, and client contract clauses. I cannot speak today. And then the same thing, we got an HR perspective. So now we're talking about workforce planning and talent flexibility and retention and engagement. Then I get a legal perspective. Now we want to talk about contract reviews, supply chain risk analysis. Operations is looking at diversifying the supply chain, enhancing inventory. So you get the idea of how each persona is going to look at the same information and the exact same prompt from a different perspective. So we're going to get you to do this yourself instead of me running through this, but this is helping this company prepare for tariffs. So what we're going to do with everyone today, if you go into STS now, and you might want to do a split screen so you can see the Zoom, what I'm showing you on Zoom, and then open up another window where you can access your own version of STS as we do this. And if you have questions, Ben, if you can just check because I can't see it.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. So what I'm going to get you to do is to the top right of your screen, you're going to see a button that says click new, create new. Click that button. If you only see create folder, create a folder and then open that folder. And then once you've opened the folder, then you should be able to, of course, I've got Otter running right on top of my screen. You should be able to see an option to create board. Once you see that option to create board, click on that, and then you're going to see a selection of templates. So select the template here that's called your C-suite.
Everybody see that so far? Any issues? Scott, good. Nick, great.
Okay, we're good. All right. So
Shimon?
click that and then name it with your personal challenge or my business or whatever you want to call it. And then you create the board. And mine shows up at the very bottom. So if you have a number of boards, it'll show up at the bottom. If you just have one, then you should be okay. I have to actually double check that I have the right one. Ah, there it is. Okay. So if you want to take a moment, Ben has provided some frameworks here on the left-hand column. You can add your company name, your location, your industry, and any decisions that you would like to make and any additional context. So you can type directly in the cards here, or you can add additional information by typing in this gray box up here and pressing enter.
So let's pause there real quick and just make sure everybody's at least at this point. Did everybody find the template okay within the drop down of creating a board? Okay. Scott's thumb up. Nick's good. Sean, you're good.
Good to go.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Pablo, I can't see you. Shimon.
I'm on, this is a board, this
Okay.
is a frame.
Okay, so Siobhan, I will go back here. So where it says create new, are you talking about this create board, create folder? Is that what you're talking about?
I think you're in a board itself, I think. So you're in our get started board, maybe. Is that what it says on the top left?
I am at, this is a board, and it has add frame, add list, push list, delete.
So you need to go out one level. I think you're in a board right now.
Yeah.
So there's where Priya's mouse is at the on your screen, you'll see an arrow that goes to the left. It kind of points towards your folders. So it should be on your top left of the board itself. Like if you were in a board, you'll see it. Like she'll be in a board here in a second,
There we go.
and then you'll see an arrow like this. Yeah, like that. You see that, Shimon?
Uh, mm, not sure. Let me see.
The other thing you can do is click the logo or the title there where it says Strategic Thinking Systems. I'm sorry, not the logo, the actual text itself. Yeah, and if you click on that, it should take you straight back to the main board.
Yeah, it says all folders, welcome. Is that the one?
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
closer.
And then create new folder?
exactly.
Yep.
So create new folder
Okay, thanks.
Cool.
and then click into that folder.
So it says add new folder, folder name.
Yeah, name the folder. Got it, Siobhan? Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, now click into the folder. So just click it and you're going to see this blue button again.
Like add folder, like click on add folder.
No,
Click on the folder itself.
yeah.
But you've added it.
Are you inside the folder now?
Let me just see.
I could also jump in a breakout if that'd be helpful, and I'll make sure that you get set up, Shimon.
Do you see mine now, Ben?
Pablo, let me look.
Well, in mine it says add team folder description.
So you are,
I
Yeah.
went to all folders, create new folder, add new folder, and then it has three boxes. One was folder name, add team, and folder description, and
Yeah.
then you add folder.
Ben, do you want to help Shimon in a breakout, or I could stop my screen and we could do
Yeah.
a quick share?
Yeah. You just hit add folder once you've selected a team and a name, and that'll create the folder. And Pablo, yes, I do see yours. So I think yours could be called Ednota. Is that right? Oh, that's Nick. Okay, cool.
Nick.
Hands off. No, just kidding. Pablo, where is yours?
My folder is called 2025 description test.
Okay, cool. It probably is not in the webinar team folder. So
Could be there is not.
yeah, okay, cool. So it's if you have it, then I think you're good to go as long as you're in a once you're in that folder, are you able to pull down the template from the drop down?
Yeah, I had your suite C, right? Your C suite.
Yes, awesome. Okay, so you're good. So Siobhan, I'm going to create a breakout, and then the two of us could jump into that. And
I was able to create my folder, and now it's part of the old folders
okay,
screen.
great. So that's good. So what you enter into that folder, you could create I'm still going to create a breakout. And do. And you
Okay.
guys can stay here.
So while Ben helps with that, and I just want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to add some context to their board. Oops, it's the wrong board for me. I'm on automatic pilot here. There we go.
We'll be right back.
So
There you are. Hi.
Hey, all right, cool. So do you want to share your screen and we'll
Yeah, let me share. So this is, I assume you can see my screen.
yeah, it's perfect.
So this is the one that I created.
Okay, great. So click on that. Now you want to create a board. And this is where Priya just was. So create new is that. Yes, you got it. We're almost there. And then now you can call this is a particular board, so maybe it's the same name. Okay, great. Now before you do that,
Oops.
so let's create a new one. Just do
A
this.
new,
Yeah, create one here. Create board, and I'll change it just slightly. Change the template here, and then use your C-suite. Just choose your C-suite, and then now you can create the board, and you'll know which one to go into. And we could delete this one later, or even now. Yeah, just click that and hit delete board. Yeah, and then now click into there. And what Priya's having everybody do right now, so you're caught up with everybody, is just adding that information in these cards, and then I'll put us back into the main room. Sound good?
yeah, so I just finish this and
Yeah.
stay on this particular board.
Yeah, exactly. You can just wherever the little dash is, you can start there.
Sounds good.
All
All
right.
right.
All right.
Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. You can hit leave breakout room. Cool.
thing. I'll
Okay.
pop it for you.
Because that'd be an excellent use case of bringing in context from outside the board.
Okay, hold on. If I can.
Yeah, send me a
Actually
copy of
knows
that.
where that board is. He uses it more than I do. So,
Yeah.
hold on.
We're back, Priya. Which
Oh, We're looking for the STS context. So Sean has an experiment he wants to do with a description of STS in a board, and he wants to pull it in.
Okay. All right, cool. So I'll bring that board to this because the reason why you guys can't see it in the webinar team is because it hasn't been shared to the webinar team. So this is the way
Okay.
this is the way you control context when you're working with one person, three people, or 100. Like you give them access to what they should have access to and nothing more, right? So it's a way to control your information internally. So if HR has a team, only HR should see what's in the HR team. So I'll go grab that and drop it in
Okay.
this folder. Is everybody working on their particular boards now?
It looks like it.
All right.
I have a question. Yeah, so I've got my company context around an upcoming strategic decision. But so what I did was just sticking with the strategic planning, theme. This is going to come up quickly for a lot of organizations who start it in, August, September. I guess one of the tricky parts, I feel like there's like a cart before the horse situation, where like I don't necessarily know. So my main question was, where to place bets on AI and automation, accounting for technology and people investments.
Okay.
And so when I moved to the finance person, I said, what's your advice for those building business cases and generating ideas for AI related investments? Are there considerations that non-finance employees should incorporate? And so I don't know if that's the right sort of line of questioning, but I could do something similar for these other experts in these different disciplines to at least get everyone started, everyone involved in strategic planning. You could basically compile that advice for all the teams that are involved and say, here's guidance. It's almost like a playbook, strategic planning playbook, and I could do that and incorporate that. But is the concept that this board that I could have almost a conversation with all of these people at the same time? In other words, not only asking follow-up questions with more context, but asking them as if each of these sort of digital advisors, digital twins of the C-suite here, as if they were sitting around a virtual conference room. So we're having one conversation. It's not sort of boxed in the columns, as it were, as it's laid out here, if that makes sense.
Yes. So what you can do in that type of a scenario is, let's do an example. I'm going to pull up the little tariff board that I had. So I'll show you what that could look like with this particular setup. So for example, if we were working with this board, there's also an AI tab that's hidden. So you could actually work with these as they're laid out. And then you could bring in another team member. And I could bring this team member in here and have them say something about HR's output just by selecting that list. So now HR's response becomes an input. We might even bring in legal, let's say. So now we have legal has said something, HR has said something, and we want to take their opinions into account. And now I'm going to ask our CEO. So I'm going to ask the CEO, what else should we think about? Oops, having some glitch. So now this starts to like lead into more of a circular conversation. And so if I liked this input, I could save it. If I didn't, I could take aspects of that output. I could keep all of it. So I get a lot of, so CC in addition to HR and legal, So now it's giving you a little bit more of a layered response that took those previous responses into account. I have lost all ability to speak today. I don't know what's wrong with me. But does that answer your question, Bob?
So Priya, when you selected those check boxes, were you basically injecting the knowledge of those other agents into the CEO's response, or were you just basically saying, oh, I'm already, what did checking those boxes do? I guess is
It
ultimately
it
the
it
question.
it incorporates their responses. So not their
Okay.
knowledge base, but this answer that their knowledge base has provided
Okay.
now taken into account. So you can imagine, you and I are having a conversation. I don't know everything you know. You don't know everything I know, but I do know what you've told me. And so essentially what when I select that list, the CEO now knows what HR has said
Okay. And is
and
that
takes that into account.
okay? And then from an STS perspective, is that everything that's literally encapsulated in what I see here, or could there be other sort of knowledge capture? I know it's not going into the knowledge base, but I guess I'm wondering what the extent of this is going to be an iterative process, right? So it's not just a one-time, time box exercise like we're doing today. It's going to be ongoing, and so I guess I wonder about the persistence of what I see in front of me here.
So this information always stays in a board, and Sean alluded to this
Okay.
earlier.
Okay.
So what we are able to do is if you have permission to access content. So Ben was mentioning if you are part of a team that has access to content, you can add context from other boards. So if I click that, I can see the webinar folder and I can see the citizen commission folder because I have access to those two things. If I click on the webinar folder, then I can see the contents of all the other boards in the folder. And I can select one of those boards. I hit confirm, and now I see all the lists in those boards, and I can pull from that board into this board, and it becomes part of the analysis.
Okay.
So, for example, if you had your company context elsewhere, Ben, if you can set that up.
Yeah, it's done. So you could actually go there now. It's in the same folder.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can remove that one and add the business context from us. There it is. Number it's in 2025 in the webinar folder.
Okay.
Perfect. And it's like the third one down. So there it is. Oh, just up from there. Yeah, you got
This
it.
one, right?
That's the one. Yeah.
So if I wanted to pull some of our business context into this conversation, I do that, and now you can see how our platform works, our long-term vision, our marketing go-to strategy, our go-to-market strategy. Why can't so I can pull that information into this conversation.
And you can pull, assuming you have access, you can pull information and um, sort of personas from other boards as well.
So the persona would be in your current board,
Okay.
but the knowledge can come from another board.
Okay.
But is that making sense?
It is. I'm just trying to. There's a scenario that I'm trying to play out in my mind, and I'm wondering if this would work. So I'm part of this AI council where there's 5 different uh, focus areas, and there's a leader for each of those focus areas, with a team, and then there's work streams that cut across those. So there's some intersectionality across these work streams and these, let's just call them categories. Um, and so I'm just trying to visualize the sort of cross section such that we can cross pollinate knowledge and repurpose it because there is some overlap. It's not everyone, if this was a matrix, not each box is not a unique set of voices and roles necessarily. There's some overlap. That's why I was wondering why if there was a way to avoid
The way you would do that, we can work on this in a separate conversation, but the
Yeah.
way you can do that is you can set up teams in STS, and those teams can have their own private access, and each of those individual teams can work on their core area of knowledge. And then if there's shared knowledge, you can create a shared team, and there's an ability, you can move those boards, the shared knowledge boards, into the big, larger collaborative team. And then you'll be able to pull from that information to do your next steps. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah.
And Ben or I can walk you through this if necessary.
Okay.
Just a question, Bob. Are those teams working on a specific issue or challenge, or are they just general?
So the work streams have specific deliverables that cut across some of the focus areas. But there's not only people that overlap. For example, I'm leading a focus area, but also participating in two of the work streams. And so there's people overlap and there's content overlap. So for example, AI literacy, AI adoption, responsible AI, all of those are three separate focus areas, but you can obviously see the overlapping codependency, right?
Yeah.
So, but I just thought, we're sort of scrambling and saying, oh, we're going to use Slack for this, and maybe we'll use Notion, and maybe we'll use this, and we're gonna be in, Google Drive, and we're gonna do all this stuff, and it's like, okay, those are things that require all kinds of context switching and deliberate actions and knowledge to even know where to go find something, and everyone's going to follow their own unique path to get there or whatever. Whereas something like this is like, look, you can look at it from different dimensions, but you're still looking at, it's like a sort of multidimensional sort of repository, almost like a graph database where you're able to sort of pivot around and approach it from different angles, but still get to the same core sort of, knowledge at the molten center.
So
There's another
that sounds great. So if I was going to cut to the chase of it, I would number one, try to select something that has a specific business outcome and have track metrics on it. So for example, improving customer satisfaction might be one. Reducing cost in manufacturing might be another. So a specific business-oriented project. And the other thing would be is to create a list of those and prioritize the ones that have the highest payoff and the most likely probability of impacting it in a short time frame. Those would be my suggestions for setting up the projects and working with the structure that you have to optimize it. Because otherwise you'll get lost in the mess of everybody trying to coordinate everything with different focuses. So
yeah, I mean, Dale, you're describing my last strategic planning at NBC Universal, where everyone was like, sort of, it was really inefficient. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Before we go too far, too, I also wanted to mention, Bob, this might be beneficial as well. So one of the features of STS, so if you were mentioning documents and people wanting to collaborate across different platforms, you also have the ability here. So if you click on one of the cards, you can click on card details and you can hyperlink to any websites that you'd like. You can upload files here as well. So everything can be housed in this space. And we're not there yet, but future iterations of STS, you'll be able to rag all those documents as well and be able to read them and pull them into your context.
Nice. Okay, great. Thanks, Frida.
Yeah.
Can I just double click on that for 1 second? So a specific use case I have. So I have a transcript from a interview that I had done with one of the team members of the client. So I could make one of those cards and just title it interview with Sarah, and then upload the transcript text file to there and apply that. And then I could reference interview. Is that
Exactly. So one of my favorite use cases is I'll take a list and I'll write all the interview questions in one list. I will put the transcript in another list, and then I will select that transcript and say, answer interview questions with transcript. I'm done.
okay? So in this activity, what I was trying to do, so I use the AI colleague tab that you've got open there to try, like I created the first prompt that I was going to type into for each of the different the CFO, the HR person, and I wrote it in the AI colleague, had it, but with the prompt saying improve this
Mhm.
prompt right, to make it more clear. And so then it did in a number of different cards. I moved that over to the context. What's it called? Like
The
tag
list.
list.
These are lists. These are
Yeah.
frames. Is that what we're
Yes.
looking at?
Yeah, the context list.
Mhm.
And then copied everything there in that context and then pasted that into each of the different entities. But I probably could have just left it in the context and then in the prompt for the finance and HR, you know, answer the question that's within context.
Exactly. So if you select this list, the company, it's titled company context, and you select the list company context, you
Yeah,
can just say, answer these questions, and it'll do it.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That would have been more efficient.
Yep. That's what we're trying to do for you guys.
Got it. At the moment,
Awesome question.
you do need to copy and paste from that text file at the moment. So we're working on the upload and it will read the file. But just to make sure you understand that that's one more step.
Uh, do you mean from the previous part where we were talking about the transcript from the
Yes. Yes.
phone interview? Okay, so I would need to then copy that whole text file, not push the upload button.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
got it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Good
just
catch, Ben.
sure.
So we will get there with
Perfect.
the where you'll be able to upload it, but right now just copy and paste any text that you want to bring into the context, copy and paste it into a list and hit enter.
It doesn't
Got
even
it.
need to be formatted, just so you know, like PDFs and so forth work. Just select all, copy it, and drop it in. It's fine. For
Okay.
the
And it actually works relatively well with Excel spreadsheets as well. It looks horrendous in the tool, but it'll read the Excel spreadsheet very accurately, which shocks us as well.
yeah, it's like what? How did it figure that
It knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished running through the C-suite with my questions. My question was, as of today, how might my organization collaborate with STS? And I'd thrown both my own company context and STS context as input, and got some interesting outputs. So, yeah, that's really neat.
Very neat. Do
that's
you want to do a bit of a share, or is this going to
Yeah,
be?
why not? Sure.
Yeah?
okay.
Okay.
Good. Perfect. Good way to end.
Okay. Let me know when you're seeing what I'm seeing.
I see
Yeah.
it. I want to see
Hmm.
something.
Cool, yeah. So what I did is first off, I knew that in this input frame here, I wanted to add some additional an additional list that I could pull into each of my AI agents here. So what I did is I added that list. I named it STS context. And then because I have more to learn about STS, I bet there would have been an easier way of getting it in there, but I just copied and pasted from another board uh, the parts that I thought would be relevant, and I dropped them into my text here. I hit enter, and there's all the information from STS. And then these other ones, I just filled it out manually. And then over here, my simple question, I just reworded it was as of today, how might Circle of Success collaborate? That's my business with STS. And then it gave me some initial information. And because I entered the same question across all of these boards, I've got some great information here. Now, I would probably want to have a series of activities that I'm going to be doing with this information that requires me to look at this and think, what is the next best question? So, in order to keep things organized, I could see that I probably want to add a separate frame or even duplicate this frame and have those same agents being asked a new round of questions. So yeah, just in terms of thinking it through here, it's pretty neat to have all of this, as a Kanban board, so to speak, format because I'm familiar with Asana, and Asana is a great tool, but it's different than this. And I think this tool I'm actually winding down my Asana license, and I'm like, I can keep using this tool to do a lot of planning. So this is really neat. I appreciate the value of being able to pick these out and even just grabbing cards. I was going to ask about the clipboard feature. How does one use the clipboard if I'm grabbing a few of these? What do I do next?
So you select the list where you want those cards to go. So if you created a new list,
Okay, I'll go ahead and maybe I'll just do that in here. Add a list
yeah,
to the right. Why not?
yeah, select that list, and then where it says selected cards, all those cards you can cut and paste or copy and paste them to that list.
Very cool. That's pretty easy. That's the missing gap that that will enable me to do some more exploration here.
Which tells us we stopped doing this because everyone ended up being relatively advanced. So maybe not next week. I think Charlie is going to do project planning next week. Charlie, I think you're around here somewhere. But the week after, what we might do are some new STS basics. We've also upgraded the tool a bit, so I think we can have some of those conversations around what are the little unique features that can help you do your work a little bit more efficiently if you had known about them.
Thanks. I'll definitely you'll see me there.
Awesome. Thank you,
All right,
Sean.
so we'll do one of those again.
I assume you have a video that explains some of the more basic stuff.
There is, yeah. So actually, Sean, if you want, I'm going to let you do the screen share here. If
Yeah,
you're
I'll go back there. I think I know
Mini
exactly
Pro,
where it is that we'll
show you
find that.
another little fun feature here. So if you add another list somewhere, wherever it works, I'll show
Sure.
you.
Yeah, we'll come back here and I'll just add another list to the right.
Okay, I'm going to get fancy here. And you click on the list, top right corner, you're going to see the three dots, Sean.
This one?
Yeah, click on configure list
Mm-hmm.
and click on list type.
Mm-hmm.
Let's turn that into an AI.
Cool.
Save it.
All right.
Okay, now what you can do is click on the general assistant
Yep.
and now choose the STS help assistant. There you go. Click save. And now ask it any question you want to ask about STS.
How do I get content from a different board in a different folder into this one?
Yeah, I wonder if this one's going to work. We might have to do some updates. So that's a very good question.
Oh, there we go. And the other place, Shimon, where you can find a lot of the basic help information up here, I know is the help documentation, and that gets you started with all sorts of stuff right here. It's one. I'm gonna be re-going through this once again. There's videos. There's some supporting stuff down here. This is the first area that I went into even before I actually was playing around with STS.
Sure.
So yeah, to get there is the easy, oh, it's done. Perfect timing. Great question to move or copy content from a board in a different folder. You want to use the clipboard. So that's one way that it's telling us to do that.
Yeah, so that's the old version. So we've got a few updates to do because we've started updating quite quickly now. So we have some instructions, but generally it'll give you fascinating ways of navigating STS. So just use the STS help assistant, ask whatever question, and often it'll direct you to links to the page that you shared, Sean.
Cool. So if I want just a general overview, I'm literally so green around the ears. It's my first time using it. I might either show up at one of your workshops for that, or I'm gonna go to the help thing. But if I have a specific question about the board that I'm in, I can just load my own personal help assistant and get help uh, without even leaving the board.
Exactly. You can even start by asking, how do I use STS?
I
And
like that. That's pretty cool.
the other, yeah, that
How
you
do
can,
I use it? How do I use STS? Fantastic. Yeah, great.
Is there
Thanks.
a way to merge each of the different tiles? So
not yet.
not yet. Okay.
Why do you feel like merging the tiles?
Just like, with each of these different separated ones, like if it was all merged into one
Yes.
to reference again, it might be useful. And
Yeah, let me actually, I'll talk to that, Scott, because that is something that Francis is working on, who's our CEO, CTO, to toggle back and forth between separate and one. So, but the other thing you can do, if you're in a list and you select all, or if you select multiple cards, like we just demonstrated, click on a list that where you want to move it to, and then you'll see at the once you've done that, the menu will change at the top, and you'll see an option that will say selected cards. Hit copy to clipboard. Okay.
yeah,
So like
that,
more than
that's
one.
what I've done.
Yeah, copy to clipboard, and then all that text becomes one. And so I really like using that. So if I have 30 cards in a list and I copy them all to the clipboard, now it's all like I could copy that and drop it into a Word doc or into a website or something else, and you'll have the whole thing.
Yeah, I used that specifically when I was trying to fix the prompt with the AI assistant. It pulled 5 different cards, so then I selected them all, copied it to clipboard, and then I pasted one paste into each of the 5 different
Cool.
executives.
Cool.
But yeah, if there was like you select all of them and then merge cards together, it might be easier.
Yes. Okay. Good feedback. Thank you for that. Sean, if you click on your board, you'll get an answer. It's sometimes just click somewhere and there.
Oh yeah, it's awake.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know it's over. Thank you, Pablo. Great to have you.
Thank you. See you soon.
We'll be back next week, same time. We'll do one with Charlie. Good to see you, Pablo.
Excellent. See you
Yeah,
soon.
great to see you, man. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Um, so what I was going to say is that we run these pretty much every week. Topics change as the technology evolves and with feedback that we get from everyone. So I might actually do a reach out to you if I haven't already to get a little bit more user feedback from each of you as we're really working to improve the products daily. So if you have received a message from me and you have responded, let's schedule a time. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat a time for a one-on-one with me so that we can actually go deeper into your use case, how you're using it, what you think could be made better, what you like, etc. So we're doing these customer discovery or user interviews right now. So we'd love to have your feedback. All right. With that, thank you so much. This has been great. Thanks for all your input, Scott. It was great to have you again. Sean, thank you. You're becoming like a real advocate.
Power user?
Well, he's a power user.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Thanks for the inspiration with all the colors and new ideas of automation.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. And we'll leave that template up so you can play around with it.